Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Willow has long been one of Port Charles's most embattled characters, and now she may be on the brink of losing everything, heading to jail, pushing her relationships to the breaking point, and having the specter of Nelle loom over her life. Meanwhile, the recent returns of Britt and Nathan set precedent in the soap's universe for resurrection and mystery, deepening speculation that Nelle could also reemerge. Let's unpack the fallout and the possibilities. As things stand, Willow and Nina have been arrested in connection with the shooting of Drew Kane. Willow, adopted as Wiley Corinthos' legal mother, faces tremendous jeopardy, her maternal bond hanging in the balance while the legal system starts closing in. But beyond that immediate peril, there's the question of Nelle Benson's return, and whether that would nullify or complicate Willow's place in Wiley's life. Nelle's story in General Hospital has always been murky. Though presumed dead after a cliffside fall years ago, the soap world rarely lets a character rest entirely. And when one thinks of her possible return, two powerful precedents immediately jump to mind. Britt Westbourne and Nathan West, both characters who defied death, resurfaced with mysteries, and left the canvas forever altered. First, Britt's return was one of those ghosts from the past moments that remind viewers that in daytime drama, death is rarely permanent. Her staged death and time in a Croatian lab were secrets she tightly guarded. Her comeback reopened layers of deception, especially around how much she would reveal of her time away and whom she'd involve. Almost immediately, fans recalled how long the damage from her lies would resonate, especially with her mother Liesl and those around her. Nathan's resurrection is equally dramatic. Waking up from a crash with his memory and motivations blurred, he emerged with more questions than answers. His return left Liesl reeling, Britt struggling with guilt, and the rest of Port Charles watching every move now. The same logic applies. If Britt and Nathan could return, Nelle might not be truly gone. That possibility heightens the tension around Willow's trajectory. Let's look more closely at how Willow's descent is unfolding. Her custody battle with Michael has escalated, and she's faced with devastating revelations. In court, she collapsed and briefly became non-communicative, raising questions about her mental stability. Some fans theorize that Willow's collapse is more than a breakdown. It could be a turning point where she channels her twin, Nelle, or manifests darker impulses. In this scenario, Nelle's possible return isn't just external. It might already be internal. That theory gains traction when we consider how Willow has recently stalked Sasha, gaslit her, and manipulated perceptions around baby Daisy. Those actions mirror Nelle's past schemes: cold, calculated, emotionally manipulative. The notion that Willow is adopting Nelle's persona, or that Nelle is influencing her, adds a psychological layer to the legal drama. If Willow commits extreme acts under that influence, it could be used against her in court, damaging her claims and credibility. Beyond the psychological element, there's a legal one. If Nelle returns and stakes claim to her son Wiley, her biological child, what happens to Willow's status? If Nelle magically re-enters Port Charles, she might challenge Willow's custody or parenthood. Willow's legal position is already fragile, given the shooting arrest. Nelle's presence could trigger DNA tests, challenges, or courtroom maneuvers that strip Willow's ground. The stakes are enormous for Willow, Nelle, Nina, and Michael. We also need to consider Nina's motivations. Nina has always been obsessed with building a maternal bond with Willow. If Nelle returns, Nina's loyalties and manipulations will be tested. Will Nina side with Nelle because of blood, or defend Willow, the child she's raised emotionally? If Willow ends up in jail, Nina could pivot toward Nelle or use that potential return as leverage in custody or alliance negotiations. Then there's the Faison factor. Faison's legacy has haunted Port Charles and many of its characters. If Nelle returns, it's not unlikely that Faison is involved, possibly pulling strings, faking deaths, creating conspiracies, or manipulating identity. The same kind of shadowy machinations that once killed Britt and Nathan could be at work again for Nelle. That would tie the return of all three characters into a darker arc where death is a mask, not a conclusion. Let's trace possible permutations. In one scenario, Willow is convicted or charged seriously enough that she faces prison, or at least pretrial detention, pending the resolution of evidence. In that time, Nelle reemerges, presenting verified identity proof, DNA, and legal claims to Wiley. With Willow incapacitated by the legal system, Nelle could launch custody motions. That would leave Nina and Michael scrambling to respond. Willow might be painted as unstable, aggravated by her panic over Nelle's return and the collapse of her safety net. Alternatively, legal proceedings might pause if a twist reveals that Willow's breakdown was triggered by repressed memories or external influence, possibly Nelle's lingering presence or influence. That would shift the plot from purely legal to psychological. If Willow argues she was not in control, it might give her a defense, delay proceedings, or introduce psychiatric evaluations. Another possibility: Nelle's return is fake. A plant, an imposter, or someone using Nelle's identity to manipulate Willow or the Corinthos family. This would echo when Nathan's return was questioned. Fingerprints, DNA, and memories were roots of doubt. If the Nelle who returns isn't the real one, but is manufactured by an adversary of Willow or Michael, it adds layers of intrigue and legal danger, because Willow might be framed or coerced into incriminating evidence against herself while trying to expose the imposter. Nelle could return an ally with Willow. They could conspire to take down mutual enemies, Michael, Nina, or others. But that alliance would depend on trust, which might be brittle given Nelle's history. If Willow is vulnerable, Nelle could exploit that to position herself as savior or partner, or to seize control of Wiley. Which brings us back to Britt and Nathan, the prototypes of resurrection arcs. Britt's secrets about her death and captivity are still unraveling. Nathan's return, identity, and integration into Port Charles are fraught with suspicion. Each return involved DNA checks, emotional hurt, lies, and the pushback from characters who refused to simply accept them back. Nelle's potential return would follow that template. First doubts, then verification, then fallout. But because Willow is weaker now, both legally and emotionally, the impact would be greater. Let's imagine a timeline. First, Willow's arrest escalates. She's held or seriously charged. She may even be denied bail or placed under house arrest. She starts to fall from the center of her own story. The Corinthos family begins to panic. Second, rumors begin to swirl. Body discovered, DNA mismatch, official statements leak. Nelle is alive somewhere else, presumed lost but not gone. Third, someone, an attorney, a lab, a third party, delivers evidence. Blood sample, birth certificate, hospital record. Suddenly, Nelle is officially back, at least on paper. The media, within the show, and Port Charles gossip turn into courtroom fodder. Fourth, Nelle's return is contested. Willow, from prison or evaluation, fights it. Her legal team challenges authenticity, raises objections, and accuses imposters or manipulation. Nina, Michael, and other allies pick sides. Fifth, relationships and loyalties crack. Nina is torn. Britt and Nathan's history and return become touchstones. Carly, Jason, Anna, Dante all watch closely and weigh in. Sixth, suspense crescendos. In a final showdown, Nelle appears face to face, perhaps at a custody hearing, perhaps in court or on the hospital steps. Truths are revealed. The real Nelle versus imposter ruse is addressed. Choices are made. Willow's fate is decided. Beyond that, the emotional toll is massive. Willow's mental health is fragile, and her identity is under siege. If she's accused of being Nelle, or harboring Nelle's traits, she may no longer be trusted by those closest to her. Nina may resent her. Michael may doubt her. Wiley's future may be decided without her. On the flip side, Nelle's return isn't purely antagonistic. If she reclaims some maternal rights, she may genuinely want connection with Wiley. That would further tear the family apart, forcing everyone to reassess what motherhood truly means in Port Charles. The drama could shift from confrontation to negotiation, or even twisted alliances. Willow and Nelle, reluctantly working together. Nina torn between biological and adoptive motherhood, and Michael stuck in the middle. Let's also think about how Britt's and Nathan's returns change the emotional and power dynamics in Port Charles, and what that means for Willow's arc. Britt's reemergence forced Liesl to confront betrayal and silence. Nathan's return unlocked guilt, confusion, and shifting loyalties. In both cases, Characters who thought they were dead returned with leverage over their pasts. For Nelle, the stakes are even higher because she has the most to lose and to gain from disrupting the Corinthos family. If Nelle returns, she could hold evidence, where she's been, who helped her, why she stayed hidden, what truths she knows. That places her in a position of power, not just as claimant to motherhood, but as possessor of key knowledge that could tip legal battles, expose conspiracies, or topple other characters' secrets. That knowledge might involve Phazon or shadowy labs, just as Britt and Nathan had secrets tied to labs and conspiracies. One more angle, the notion of the return from the grave, has a symbolic weight in soaps. It signals that history is not finished, that old sins and unknowns can resurface, and that no secret is truly buried. Willow's journey, thus far defined by loss, shame, and desperation, may find its counterpoint in Nelle's comeback, giving the narrative symmetry the show loves. Finally, it's worth asking, if Nelle returns and Willow is jailed or incapacitated, is there any redemption arc left for Willow? She's been painted as victim and perpetrator. Her mental health, her guilt over past behavior, and her desperation to keep her child may all come into play. Nelle's return could either crush Willow or force her to fight back in the only way she knows how, by reclaiming identity, narrative, and relationship to Wiley. In sum, the collision of Willow's legal peril, the ghost of Nelle, and the resurrected legacies of Britt and Nathan sets up a perfect storm. Willow may not just be headed to the slammer. She may be headed toward a reckoning with the past, with identity, and with motherhood itself. And if Nelle returns, the entire balance of power in Port Charles shifts. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for all of your updates.